All right, welcome. Get the sheet in front of you if you can. And for me, put your name on the top. All right, and your period. Let's give you points for this today. As you're working out different exponent rules, we've been going over a lot of rules. Now, I understand many of you may have been absent, and I totally get that for the climate we're in right now. I get that maybe you missed a day or two and you just kind of fell behind a little bit. So I gave you this little table here. It looks kind of confusing, but that video that we just watched kind of shows the way that they show the properties. But on the side here, why don't I go a little deeper into what it's really saying? So product, we should know that means when it's being multiplied, right? Multiply. Quotient is division. All right, and we should know those rules. I'm gonna use a different marker to help you see a little bit. So now, when we're looking at this one, that's a problem that could look like this. Maybe x to the second times x to the fourth times x to the sixth. And what's the rule here? When the bases are the same, you're going to add the exponents. So you're going to add these together and you're going to keep the base. So final answer would be x to the 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 plus 6 is 12. Again, this may be easy for some, but this is a review for a lot of you as well, just to help you get your mind right with exponent rules, okay? Now this one's a little trickier. I'm going to move it down here because the rule seems pretty simple. Ax divided by ay, you just subtract, but sometimes you also have to do something at the end to fix it. So let me just show you. What if I said 2 to the 4th over 2 to the 10th? All right. The way I've taught you is there's a battle happening. Who's going to win the battle, the top or the bottom? Who has more, the top or the bottom? Well, there's 2 to the 10th on the bottom, 2 to the 4th. So the bottom's going to win. So that means your answer is going to be on the bottom. But now, what do you do with this 2 to the 4th? You bring it down and you subtract it. So you're going to subtract it. And when you do that, you're going to get 2 to the 6th. Okay? And then 1 goes on top, and that's your final answer. All right? Now here's the deal. The video, I'm going to show you real quick. You don't have to write this down. Just watch. Let me see if I get a paper here. The video showed it this way. So I'll rewrite this again. So that's the way ours looked. The video did it a little differently. And I still want to show you that way. Because in math, there's many ways to solve these types of problems. What the video did was bring the 10 up to subtract it. And went and subtracted it up. Well, if you do this math, and this is why I didn't teach you this method right away, but if you do this math, 4 minus 10, you can use your calculator, you're going to get 2 to the negative 6. Now, does this look familiar? Can this turn into this? So that's the way they do it, okay? I tell you there's a battle happening and figure out who won the battle and take that 4 or take whatever away that lost the battle from the winner, all right? Those 4 knocked out 4 of these guys. That's why there's 6 left. This one just tells you to subtract, and then from here, you know that a negative must flip. The negative exponent must flip sides and go to the bottom. Okay. All right, cool. Now, this rule is super simple. All you do is multiply the exponents. All right. I don't need to go into that one too much. Let's just say if it was 5, 2 with the 4th, that would have equaled 5, 8. Okay. Anything to the 0 power equals 1. Again, here, this is multiplying. All right, make sure. And then here, we just talked about it again. If you have a negative exponent, it has to flip sides and turn positive. Okay? So if it was x to the negative 4, it becomes 1 over x to the 4. All right? What if it was 1 over x to the negative 2? Then it would just become x squared. All right, little review. Now let's go ahead and play our game. Now let's go ahead and you have a board of 25 squares. I want you to go 1 to 25 in your own order using only the number once. So in your own order again, 1, 2, 3, anywhere you want to go, okay? Anywhere you want to go. Look how I'm jumping, but I'm going in order so I don't miss any numbers. Oh, and 25. Okay. All right. We're going to get started right away, and let's go ahead and start. Here's your first problem. Okay. Try that one out for me. As you work on this one, you're going to go ahead and you can hit pause whenever you need to, Miss Alonzo. So move it up. You're going to move this up here. So it's going to become 4 to the 11th. All right. So go ahead and cross out 11. Let me get a highlighter. I thought I had a highlighter here. So that's okay. All right. If you get a row, let me know. 5 in a row. 5 in a row this time. All right. All right. Next one. We're going to start off pretty simple. Try this one out for me. Remember, you have to multiply. 3 to the negative 8. But then that comes down and becomes 1 over 3 to the 8th. All right. Cross out 8. All right, next one. Should be pretty simple. The battle happens. This is going to come down. 1 over 5 to the 4th. 4th gets crossed out. All right, let's keep it going. Now I'm going to kick it up a little bit. So we go x to the 4th, y to the 10th. All right, this one, take your time. When you handle this one, take it one problem at a time. Do this problem first, and then do that problem. Okay. X on the bottom wins by 2. Y on the top wins by 2. Cross out 2. And also cross out 22. 2, 2. All right, let's keep it going. You're going to have a little exit ticket at the end of class today. I want to make sure you do well with it, okay? So, oh, here we go. All right, try this one out for me. As you do that one, also try this one out for me. All right, try those two out for me. All right, if we try this one, we're going to add, you know your answer is going to be 4 to the something, okay? Negative 2 and 5, that equals 3, okay? 3 and 7, it's a positive 10, all right? So cross out 10. Okay. Now down here, it's a little tricky. There's an invisible 1 there. Don't forget that. then you're going to add across like you have, but you got negatives and positives. On your little exit ticket at the end of class, it says, use your calculator for these ones. Use your calculator if you want, okay? It's available to you. -5 and 1, that's going to be -4, okay? -4 plus 4, that's going to be 0. So what's left? -10. -10, can that be your final answer? Are you allowed to have a negative exponent? Nope. So it's going to be 1 over x to the 10th. 1 over x to the 10th, okay? So we already crossed out 10. Let's cross out 20. All right? So we crossed out 20 on that one. We're going to keep going. I'm flipping it over now. I'm going to do stuff on the back. Let me give you another one that's similar. All right, take a look at that one. Once you've done that one, excuse me. All right, and then we'll jump into the next one. The next one's a little trickier, and we'll go through it. But what are we going to do here? We got to make sure we are going to be adding again. Right, that's the rule. But 4 minus 3, that's just going to be positive 1, right? 4 minus 3. Positive 1 and negative 12, that's going to be negative 11. But it has to flip. All right, so it becomes 1 over x to the 11th. Cross out 11. Did we already do 11? All right, cross out 12. We'll just go one more up. All right, then this is the one I'm talking about. What makes this tricky? Well, we've already done one similar to this, and that was this one here. Oops, you can't see it. That was this one here. We already did one similar where I said do this part here and then do this part here. But for this one, you do have to take it apart. Try that first, all right? And if I gave you an answer here, there's your fraction. Try that part first. Who wins the battle? Well, remember, there's an invisible 1 there, okay? So take your time. Who wins that battle, the top or the bottom? The top does by 3, okay? Now what about the B battle? Who wins that B battle, top or bottom? Well, the bottom wins by 7, right? These 3 take away 3 from the 10, all right? And then who wins the C battle? Uh-oh, that's a negative. You can't have a negative involved here. The negative has to flip and go to the top, all right? So that negative has to flip and get added to the top. Remember that rule? So make sure you remember that rule, that you have to flip that up. So it's going to be C to the 5th. All right, and that's your answer. A little tricky, a little tricky. So we have 3, 5, and 7. 3, 5, and 7. We haven't crossed out 3. And we haven't crossed out 5. And we haven't crossed out 7. All right. So now, let's do one last one. I want to make sure you are good with that kind of concept because you're going to see ones just like that. And let's try a tricky one. 4 to the 2nd times 5 to the negative 10th times 6 to the 2nd. All over the 5th times 5th, 5 to the 3 times 6. We'll just say negative 4. All right, take your time. This is basically 3 separate problems. All right, 3 separate problems. Do the best you can with this one on these 3 separate problems. First problem, okay? First problem. If we attack that, who wins the battle, the top or the bottom? The bottom wins by how many? By 3, okay? All right. What about here? Top or bottom? Well, hold up. There's a negative exponent. We're never allowed to have negatives. When we have a negative exponent, we have to flip it. It has to flip sides, okay? So we have to flip it and make it positive. We have to take this whole thing and flip it to the bottom and make it positive. So now, how many 5s are on the bottom? 13. You add those two together, 10 and 3, all right? Because that got flipped. Then, same idea here. What are you going to do with this guy? You're going to flip it. So what's going to happen here? Times, that turns positive up here. How many 6s are on the top? 6. All right, and that's the final one. If you got a row, we're going to give you a ticket. You're going to keep those tickets for the end of the week. That's 3, 13, and 6. Let's see, 3, 13. 13 got it, 1. 6 got 1. And we already had 3 crossed out. All right, so there's your board. There's your game. Now let's go ahead and do that exit ticket. When you finish that, you're going to have a quizzes homework. When you finish the exit ticket, go ahead and go straight into your homework. Maybe you can finish it before the end of class. Best of luck, guys.